Hey, there are the pearly whites, and I appreciate the fact that you dyed the Grecian formula or just for men's or whatever you use, because usually when you smile, I can't see the pearly whites.
Yeah, they kind of blend in with the white teeth, don't they?
Yeah. The good news is I'm not getting. I shouldn't say I'm not getting a glare today. That would be awful, wouldn't it?
Well, here,
Truth is true. Yeah, there it is.
I'll throw it to you.
I love it. So, hey, we're back at it, man. We're going to do a mini rack and stack today, and it's great to be back with you, brother. You've been out running and traveling on the road, and so have I, and we got time to get back into the studio and do some stuff, man.
It is good. You've launched a book since we last spoke, so I'm sure you'll cover that at some point.
I thought I might as well just show it, just because.
Awesome. We got a couple people on the show who are first timers, which means they'll either be back because they screwed up so bad or because they're so awesome. I think it'll be the second.
It will be one or the other. And Stephanie and Meghan are people from the industry, the financial end of things. And man, they're first class. I spent some time with them relatively recently in Knoxville at the National Frame Builders Association conference, and just great ladies that are very knowledgeable. And so we got a choice. You and I chat for another 20, 30 minutes, or let's go get them. What do you think?
Let's go get them, because you and I can get a little long in the tooth, and well, no, you're long in the tooth, long in the lip. So
yeah, that's it.
Had to get it in there.
Let's go do it. I don't know what we just said. I have no idea what we just said. It's probably just as well.
That's right. I don't know what I said.
I don't either. Let's just go talk to them.
All right.
Go Chiefs, right? No, right? No yes. Chiefs. No. Go Chiefs for Meghan. None.
No, we love the Chiefs.
Oh, okay. I thought you both did. Okay. Anyways, so Stephanie and Meghan, appreciate you being on Building Wins Live. Let's go build some wins today. What do you think?
Yeah, let's go. We'll be back because of the second option, because we're so fabulous.
That's what I figured. We've already got it wrote down. Yeah, there's Wes is very right. There's only two ways you get repeat performances. Really suck, and we got to give you a chance to not to redeem yourself, or the latter, which I know will be is spectacular. So you guys are at the First Federal Bank of Kansas City, and you like as your little sign there says the Barndo Loan Pros. The Barndo Loan Pros. That's a pretty big deal. Why don't you tell us first, before we get started, how we met and who you guys are, and because I know we're mutual friends with David Navarat, that's been on the show. Give us a little idea of what you guys are all about.
Yeah, so I started in the mortgage industry about 10 years ago. I lived in California. Long story why I moved out to the Midwest, but here I am. And I've always taken an interest in barndominiums. And then I just happened to see a job posting one day and thought, there's no way in heck that I can get on, but I'll try. And with all my experience, it worked out. Dave took me under his wings, and I've been with the bank for a few years now, and Dave recently retired, and I've taken over, and now I have lovely Meghan, who is the new Stephanie.
I worked in mortgage for 10 years as well. I worked in secondary for most of my time. I was a processor and then an assistant. And Stephanie and I had actually worked together previously.
We did.
And it's kind of always been a dream of ours to work together. So when this opportunity came about, it was kind of one of those things that like we manifested it. Yeah. So here we are. And she's now taking me underneath her wings and just turning me in all things Barndo.
Well, there you go. So it's interesting. I know, Stephanie, you mentioned that you'd always been fascinated a little bit or interested in Barndos, and Meghan, I don't know, has this been something that you just learned since you've been at the bank?
So I've actually just learned about Barndos, but I live in a rural area where there are a lot of Barndos out where we live. So I've been around them, and we've talked about it over the years, like building a barn dominium and stuff. So it's not something that was new to me. Just flipping over into the Barndo side was new. Yeah.
So interesting that your bank has kind of taken a pretty major lead industry wide in the world of financing barndos, and which leads us into several questions. But I take it, or I think I know this answer, but I could be wrong. There's a lot of financial institutions that don't really know how to handle a barndo. Is that pretty accurate? Is that pretty challenging for some? And if that's the truth, I see you nodding. Why is that? I mean, what's the drawback? What's the issue that getting a barndo finance? And then we can maybe start back. We probably should start there to begin with, but I do also want to walk through the process of, and maybe that's the place to start. Is probably the place to start. I got ahead of myself, which I do a lot. Is somebody's going, you know what? I think I want a barndo. They probably got some idea what a barndo is, or at least in generalities. What's the next steps? What happens when they call Stephanie and Meghan? Walk us through those steps, whether it's a homeowner or from the builder standpoint, because I'm sure you deal with both, right?
Right. Yeah. I would recommend that number one step before you start dreaming of building a barndominium. A lot of people make the mistake of going to the builder first and, getting all these floor plans of what their dream is. And then they get to us to qualify. And sometimes they're not qualified for the build that they want. So I would say the first step in your Barndo adventures is to secure that financing first and make sure that you're qualified for the actual build that you want before you get your heart set on, your forever plans that may have to be modified.
And not even your forever plans. So sometimes, people spend a lot of money for their plans. So you'd hate to spend thousands of dollars for a plan and then you don't qualify for that plan.
Yeah. And then it's more expensive to go back and revamp it. And so definitely start with financing first.
So when you say qualified for, you're not talking from a standpoint of credit worthiness. You're talking about you'll just build, qualify under the bank's procedures to offer financing for that type of structure. Is that where you're coming from?
Yeah, that and making sure that they're financially qualified, because you would be shocked how many people think that they're financially qualified. And then they find out that, TikTok has told them they can build for so many dollars per square foot. But sometimes that's misleading on the websites. And then they kind of get sticker shock when they find out how much a barn actually costs. So just having that initial phone call of being able to determine, is this even something I want to do? There is a lot more homework in construction loans. So, it's just, there's a lot of things that go in place with getting financing. And if you don't have your financing in place, it's real hard to make your dreams come true.
True. Well, and Meghan, it sounds like we've touched on a couple of times already, and it's unfortunate, and I think it's something that needs to be discussed anywhere any of us in the industry discuss barndos, is y'all ain't going to build a barndo for $100,000, right? I mean,
no.
Unless it's the size of a 8x10 storage unit or something, right? I mean, it's just not going it's not going to happen. So I can imagine people would get that. And that's a great point. Back to what you said, Stephanie, is people think, oh, hey, honey, we could build this for probably $100,000 to $105,000. And then they find out that it's actually $340,000 or $550,000. And the sticker shocks got to be pretty massive at times.
Yes,
it is.
Yeah, it's devastating to some. We don't like being the bearer of bad news, but we have to have some tough conversations.
Yes. So start with so you would recommend, even before the builder, get the financing in order, at least have an idea. What about barndos as a structure? Because I know that's been one of those, and I think we've came a long ways in the industry, but that's been one of those issues that early on in the industry, they're pretty tough to finance, right? Most banks or mortgage institutions of any type didn't even know what they were, wanted to stay fully away from them. We're not financing a barn for you to live in. All those misconceptions, right? So what kind of misconceptions are out there that we should rectify?
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of banks that struggle with barndominiums just because they still think of it as a garage structure. They don't realize how beautiful they are. And they're basically like a traditional home on the inside. Our bank allows you to do steel frame, post frame, or stick built. If you do stick built, you can do metal siding, metal roof. But a lot of the issue comes down to the appraisal and making sure that the floor plan meets Fannie Mae guidelines. So what we require is that 60% of the total square footage be livable area. And we understand, and this is why our bank is so highly sought after, is we've kind of figured out what other banks cannot do and the workarounds. The barndominium built, most barndominium people are in their own niche of wanting large shops or garages, where the garage may be 2,400 square feet and the house, 1,800 square feet. So that's not your 60-40% of livable area to garage. Our workaround is to have the garage detached. And then once they close on their permanent home loan, they can add a breezeway through if they want to connect the two. But that's been the best workaround to get through the appraisal hurdles of finding comparables of large garages to smaller square footage of livable area. So some banks just don't even want to deal with it. And we have a very patient bank that some people think we're crazy for what we allow, but it's fun. It's really fun, and the bank's enjoying it and seeing how we're growing and all the fun floor plans that are coming our way.
Also, too, we do use regular stick-built homes for comparables on your appraisals, because some areas there aren't a lot of barndominiums, and so that can be an issue with the value. And that's one hesitation with a lot of banks, is because there's not comparables in that area. So that is one big benefit to First Federal, is that we require one barndominium as a comparable, and then we do use stick built for other comparables.
Yeah, because that would be hard, because obviously that ratio 60-40 is with a typical stick built home is I don't know what the number is, probably 90-10 or 80-20 at the most, probably, right? If they got a 3-car garage. So that's, you're probably not going to find the I would think the typical stick built home matching that 60-40 that's required, right?
Yeah, right. That's why we use stick built as well, is just because it does help with the values, because most houses and barndominiums don't have like the square footage in the garage versus a normal home. Mm-hmm. So we do try to find one barndominium as well.
Sorry, our lights are on.
Oh, that's okay. That's I've had everything from crickets to lightning storms to everything else. So yeah, it happens. So that's interesting. So that's a typical, is that your bank rule, or you said that's Fannie Mac, or what is that 60-40?
It's not in particular with Fannie Mae, but the ones of us that do, the few lenders that do barndominium home loans, we all pretty much stick to that, just because if you go against the grain of the 60-40, it's really, really hard to get comparables for appraisers. So
sometimes we look at it as a commercial property versus a residential.
Yeah.
And that's the issue too.
Yeah, because Fannie Mae's in the business of only doing residential and not commercial property. So we're trying to avoid them looking at it as if it is a commercial property when they do have a large garage.
Well, that, this is making a lot of sense, because of you would think sometimes people, and I don't know, in your more standard, I guess, if you will, home loans, if they end up with the builder first and then they come in for financing, or it seems like the financing probably is the most important, because without that, unless you're won the lotto, you're probably not building anyways, right? But with that said, one of you mentioned earlier that the cost that you have and the extra time and hassle and disappointment, if you go through all that, you have the builder, you buy plans, you get it all drawn up, you go through that process for 3 or 4 months, get the builder, you do all this stuff, and then you find out, well, I need a typical loan, and this is not even close to what I need. That whole, not only the frustration of that and the disappointment that you're going to put yourself through with the cost, right? You may have to literally start completely over with a design service, right? And that's not cheap.
And some people will even, purchase their land first and then go through the whole process of, architectural plans. So it could get really costly if you don't make sure that you're pre-qualified for X amount of dollars prior to getting all your ducks in a row. So
really, before they even buy the land, the first thing they should do is come see you guys and figure out, how many dollars can I get?
They may not be building for a year or so, just to kind of give them a general idea so they can kind of ballpark and get all their stuff together prior to being ready.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's walk through and we kind of touched on them, but I think it's going to be important to people to understand, whether it's a builder, but especially a homeowner, what's the checklist? What's the checklist that they need to be prepared if they're going, hey, you know what? Let's go talk to the ladies over at First Federal and see what we can do. What do they need to come in armed with right out of the gates to maybe streamline this process? I assume it's more than, we want to build a Barndo and we want 3 bedrooms, a couple baths, and a deck and a large garage, right? They got to have a little more specifics than that, right? To get this process started.
Yeah, I'm going to give this to Megan because she's the one that she's taken over for me. So she's usually the first person that people talk to. So
usually once you apply, we go through your financial overview. So we review your income, your credit, your assets, all of that good stuff. And we review that. And then we also do a call with you before you apply or when you apply. And we kind of get some general information, just kind of, roughly what are the square footages you're looking at. Because a lot of times people, when they do apply or reach out, they kind of have a rough idea. They may not have everything pinpointed. And we kind of go through that. And then we go through the cost to build, and we estimate it up front. So the cost can be anywhere from like 150 a square foot to 200.
Depending on what
area you're in too, that will also kind of depend. We do lend in 48 states, so it kind of does fluctuate depending on where you're at. And we calculate your cost to build, because a lot of times, a lot of people don't even know what the cost to build is. And so, they're thinking they can build a home for X amount of dollars. And when we give them the square footages, cost per build, and things like that, they're, sometimes that's the wake up call too. They're calculating a lot lower per square footage. And so we kind of go through that with them. And then at that point, once we review their whole file, and we have them schedule a pre-qualification call. And in that call, we'll sit down with Stephanie and go through more in depth with their plans and what they can qualify for. And then you kind of take that over.
Yeah. After I get them pre-qualified, I give them a nice little pre-qualification letter that they can give to their builder saying, hey, I've been vetted for, so you're not wasting your time with me. I give them 90 days to get all their project information in, as far as, if they're doing a turnkey with a builder or our bank. This is what we have a huge advantage over the market with, is we do allow our borrowers to be their own general contractors, except in the state of Texas. And if a lot of people will sell their homes for equity and have an RV and live on the land, that's pretty unique to our bank as well, because the majority of banks will not let you live on the land during a construction build. So I would say those are our biggest advantages over any other bank. Is a lot of barn dominium people they are DIYers and want to do the finished work themselves and save on build costs. So if that's the case, if they're their own general contractor, I give them a Excel spreadsheet to fill out with all their costs, and they need to provide the invoices. They get about 90 days to do so. Some people take 2 weeks, some people take all 90 days. So, and then just all depends. Sure. But once they get me all their project information in, that's when the official clock starts to start sending out their disclosures and locking in their rate and ordering appraisal and getting them to the end line. So
they can start construction.
Yeah. So we can give them money to start construction.
So it's interesting, because I know that is a big popular part of the DIY or the Barndo movement. And I think that's a key word. It is kind of a lifestyle movement, right? It's more than just because a lot of people don't understand. I say a lot, anybody that's interested in Barndos and have looked into it probably understand, but inside it's still a house. All right.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
and that's where people, I think, get themselves, maybe kittywampus with costs a little bit, is kitchen cabinets, high end, low end, middle range, bath fixtures, floor coverings, all those things. It doesn't matter if it's going in a stick built standard home or it's going in a Barndo. That cost is the cost, right? It makes no difference.
And that's what we always tell people. Your big cost is going to be a lot of saving too. It's going to be on the general contractor.
Right.
If you being your own general contractor, you can save 15 to 25%.
Is that okay? That's what I was going to ask. And how many people that you deal with would DIY some of this or general contract the job? Is that a pretty high percentage versus a turnkey?
Yeah, 90%, I would say it's pretty high. So our bank's definition of allowing you to be your own general contractor, this is very important, is that everything from dirt to drywall needs to be done by a third-party professional, in the sense that they perform the job on a daily basis. It can't be an uncle that knows how to do electrician, but that's not their day job. We don't require them to be licensed. You being your own general contractor, that is up to you to know your local guidelines and regulations. But once the drywall or sheetrock, whatever you want to call it, I know different states call it different things, that's been put in place, been mudded and ready to be painted, that's when the client can take over 100% and do their own finished work, like cabinetry, light fixtures, flooring, trim work, all that stuff. The fun stuff or not fun stuff.
Okay, so I don't say with the right, I want to think the right word. The technical stuff or the structural stuff, the things that kind of matter, and not that none of it matters, but that's got to still be done by a qualified pro. But if you want to mess up the paint, that's on you.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Or what cabinet you hang in.
Yeah. And if you are an electrician by trade, by all means, you can certainly do it, but that does have to be your job. So we do allow you to do your own work. If you're a plumber or an electrician, fantastic. But the person has to be a professional prior to drywall.
That makes sense. So, well, that's interesting. That's 90%. That's I knew it would be high, or having been around a while, I figured it was high, but that's higher than I thought. But so, that whole concept of the movement. I think I was talking to Stephanie. You was on the panel out in Mannheim when TJ Norris was one of them that was on with the Barndo company, and we talked about that there. And are you seeing the same thing he talked about, that, and you may have brought it up there too, but it's a movement. It's not just, this is just the way I'm going to build. I mean, this is a lifestyle more than just a structure, right? And the compounds and all the things that are happening. Let's talk about what that movement means to people. Hey friends, it's Randy here, the owner of Source One Marketing, ibuyfromrandy.com. And I got to tell you, we are proud to sponsor the Building Wins Live podcast and vlogcast. We have 4+ decades in this beautiful industry of supplying materials, supplying services, supplying marketing assistance, and we just are proud to sponsor Building Wins Live and some great guests that we have every single week, many of them from our beloved industry and many of them from outside the industry that still bring some incredible content. So make sure to check us out at ibuyfromrandy.com and let us know what you think about this show. For now, thanks for checking this out. Let's get back to the show.
Yeah, I think, and I think TJ tapped on this as well. Since COVID, a lot of people have just, the homesteading movement has really been a trend of people wanting to get back to a simple life and being able to have chickens on their property and, plant their own garden and have that open living concept. The compounds are starting to pick up as well. I beg my parents on a weekly basis to buy land and go in on a compound with me. And, it's just this new wave of people. We're wanting to get back to living with our parents and enjoying them, and having babysitters potentially on the land, and just getting back to simple life, and not getting caught up in the work life in the hustle and bustle. So yeah, I mean, this is something I dream of. I've always dreamt of it. One day I will be building one. But I would say it really took off around COVID is when the trend started happening, and social media just really started touching on that. So.
And I think people just want to get out of the city. I mean, everybody wants room and space. And now that people, do have the options to work remote, a lot of people do. It makes it a lot easier for their family to live 30, 45 minutes outside of a city every day versus in the city. Yeah. So I think that's also helped with the movement too. It's just times have changed.
Times have changed, and you did say something that was interesting to me. Everything you said is interesting, actually, but other than the chicken part, having chickens on your farm. The only correction to that statement, Stephanie, I think you made that, is you can live in a regular home or an apartment in Key West, Florida, and still have chickens everywhere. Just so you know.
Oh wow!
Have you ever been to Key?
I was not.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Key West?
I haven't. Nope.
Yeah. Well, I was not born there, but I can tell you this is the weirdest thing I'd heard about it. I don't know where I went off on this tangent, but down there, chickens they wander the streets. They literally wander the street. You can have a Dr. Pepper at the little local watering hole, and you hear the noise. You look down. There's 3 chickens walking by, scratching at the dirt. That's just. It's pretty normal. So anyways,
in California, that is not normal where I grew up. So
it's not okay.
This girl wants some acreage and wants some chickens in the backyard. And
I got you. You don't want to have a Cabernet on the waterside pub in Key West and have chickens pecking your feet. No.
I don't know. That sounds like fun.
It's interesting. It's interesting. A little wines and chickens. Of course, I like wine. I like wine and chicken legs better than chickens. But anyways, I digress. But I love that concept though, because I'm hearing a lot more people talking about building the compound and that. But you're right, just that Arcadian lifestyle, right, of being out in your own little piece of the world, away from everybody. And the fact that you can do it yourself, I think that plays into that, because the people that probably traditionally would like that, I want to get out of the city, I want to have my own little 5 acres of my own world, and a couple of goats and a sheep or 2 and a horse and the cats and the chickens. They're also the ones that probably don't mind spending that 9 months to a year finishing that building and living out of an RV, because you know what? They're on their own property now. Right? Absolutely. They're doing their own thing. They can go home after painting all afternoon or evening on Sunday and still, pop a brew and start a fire in the fire pit by the RV, right? And life is just, they start living the life. I'm sorry, Megan, say that again.
We also see the side where people are like wanting to downsize and live close to family. And, they're in a different place in their life. They're not needing the big house. They just want to be close to their family and grandkids and things like that. And there are also ones that are really popular.
Oh, the light went off again.
Sorry.
I'll snap my fingers. It'll come on if I was any good.
I do feel like we get 2 ends of it, but a lot of people, I mean, it's very attainable for all different lifestyles too. It's not.
Well, and one of the beautiful design features, I think, is the high ceilings, the open floor plans. A lot of them that you see out there, with the whole bank of glass, all glass garage doors that you can close down in cooler weather or inclement weather, but yet you can still open up your whole house to basically living outdoors if you want when the climate's right. Those are things that are very difficult to do, if not impossible, in a typical stud wall, suburban home, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's really difficult to get that. Yeah. The majority see a lot of people are industrial look of, the
exposed beams.
Yeah,
and things
exposed
like that.
beams, concrete floors, and the barndominiums. It checks the box on all of the stuff that's trending right now.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That industrial look is huge, and the folks that are building with the the steel trusses, having the painted exposed steel trusses, it's just a whole different look, right? It's
gorgeous.
It is, and it seems like it's really taken off, and I don't see that it's going anywhere but up right now because, like you said, everybody's into it, and I'm glad we had an opportunity today to talk about not only all the good stuff, but I think it's inherently important to us that work any shape or form in the industry to stop the inaccuracies and understand what it is and what it isn't, because even the things that you find out aren't what you thought they were, there's still a million reasons to build a Barndo, right? It's just don't get led down this path of doing it for the wrong reasons and find out later that's the smoke and mirrors, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Or like don't spend too much time going down one path before you get financing, because then you're back at square one, and sometimes that's like defeat for people, and so they get very like overwhelmed and don't know what to do. So that's why we always tell people to reach out to us. Let us be the first people that can help you to figure out what you can afford to do, and maybe it's a matter of we wait a few months, or maybe it's a matter of we're ready to go. But at least that going into it, your expectations are set from the very beginning.
Right. Well, it sounds like you guys do a great job in managing your clients' expectations, and that's I think you just hit on that. Super important, because man, you can pipe dream and then go into a massive disappointment mode when all those pipe dreams are not possible. So I think getting those to work with people like yourself that are willing to spend the time to teach and to train people. Okay, I know what you heard, but that's not the way this is. So let's get on the right path. Maybe we can still do this, but here's the buts we have to meet to get this done, is way better than, like we've kind of hit on, but way better than getting 80% through this whole process and then they're going, what do you mean I can't do this? I always told I could do this. Well,
that happens a lot.
Because the builders or manufacturers, they're not worried about what you qualify for. They're just there to do what they're supposed to do. So a lot of times people are like, well, no one's ever said this to me, and it's like, well, that's not their job, so they wouldn't say that to you. Some of them do get a lot of help with manufacturers and stuff, but there are a lot of people that don't have any clue until they talk to us.
Well, exactly, because think about that. You're a metal building manufacturer, red iron manufacturer. You need a price on a 60 by 100 18-foot wall building. I can give you that all day.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean it's ever going to work for what you want to do, right?
That's the part.
That's the part to get in trouble. And they're not doing anything wrong either. If you just say, what's the price on a 60 by 100 by 18? I know it's $180,000. I don't know, whatever. But that doesn't mean, well, for $200,000, I can be in this house now, right? You're a long ways from that.
Yeah.
So, well, good. So,
information, but I feel like there's a lot of information on the internet with Barndos, but still, it's still in its infancy. I feel where there's not a lot of information as far as financing goes. So our hope in the future is to just be able to educate people more on the financing of barndominiums, so they don't get themselves in a pickle and get disappointed, when they come to us.
Yes. Well, I 100% agree. And that's why I think it's so great. Why I want to have you ladies on today, and why it's so great to see at all the shows talking about, on panels or on talks. I know, Stephanie, you gave a talk at in Mannheim, I believe, on Barndos and on financing. I think it's not only is it an important factor, it's probably the most critical factor right out of the gates, as we talked about. Yes, exactly. So, well, cool. Well, I appreciate your time and chatting. I don't know if we've touched on everything, but we can have more than one because I like you guys and we're pals. Should ask questions.
We passed the test.
You get to come back now. Well, it depends on how you do on this last one. Should ask questions. There may be more than one. Yeah, you may get back once, maybe twice. We have a world champion though, and my buddy Wes. Wes is my buddy. Ben Gay the third is the world champion. I think he's number 7, and we got number 8 coming up. So a little ways to go. No pressure.
Yeah.
So 1 or 2 should ask questions that we didn't touch on to anybody that's going, you know what, I think I'm gonna build you sitting there at the dinner table with your significant other and go, you know what, let's build a condo. Give us the should ask questions, or what do you wish people would ask you? We've kind of touched on where we go, but what did we miss that maybe you're just going, man, if I had if every person is thinking about it, they never asked this question. We've probably touched on most of it, but is there something we missed that's just vitally important?
As far as for appraisals go, getting back to the difficulties of appraisals, typically we do no less than 1,200 square feet, no less than 2 bed, 1 bath. And the reason why is just because anything less than that, it's hard for an appraiser to find comps on. Unless you live in an area where all the houses are 900 square feet and it's like a lake house property and there's a lot of comps similar to that. But usually the rule of thumb is no less than 1,200 square feet, no less than 2 bedroom, 1 bath. Let's see, 700 credit score. That's important. So they do need to have a 700 credit score. Sometimes there is a little bit of wiggle room, but that's where I get into it and talk with them if it may be a little under 700. And debt to income ratio, no more than 43%, or max debt to income ratio is 43%. Okay. What else?
I was thinking that too. I think that's a good start.
Yeah, I think that's a good start. As far as, when they are, because we do have some people that, just want to do 1 bedroom, and you kind of have to guide them as far as square footage goes and how it could be difficult for an appraiser to find comparables.
And I will say floor plans are a big deal. Since we do have to adhere to Fannie Mae guidelines for your in-loan of financing, there are some funky floor plans out there now that have, breezeways in the middle and other units on the side. And they're awesome floor plans, but they're very hard to finance. Yeah, so, gotcha. And especially if you have houses where the shop's underneath and it's on top, again, it's a comparable issue. So you're going to have issues. You will always have issues on weird floor plans. And we always tell people if they're looking at a different floor plan or a funky one, they're always more than welcome to shoot it over to us. And we're pretty good at telling them whether or not we can do the financing. So that's what we encourage people to do if they have questions.
Yeah. Well, and that makes sense. Funky floor plans. It's just get that out of the way. If you've got to finance and that's what you've got to do, then get that out of the way up front, right? Because again, we've said
a lot of these issues, and a lot of these things that we do have the rules on and issues with, they're Fannie Mae guidelines. So ultimately, they're there to help you in your end loan.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's not so much the beginning phases; it's more of the end loan, what you're going to do for your permanent finance.
Yeah, we're making sure that the construction loan that we're doing is adhering to Fannie Mae guidelines, so that when you're ready to convert into that permanent home loan, we know it's going to convert into that. So we're not trying to be mean. Yeah, we're not trying to be mean up front. We just want to make sure that we're adhering as a bank, and we're not, coming across devastating homeowners when they go to the end loan and then suddenly can't get in there. So you're vetted for your underwriter 100%, making sure we're adhering to Fannie Mae guidelines during the construction loan.
Good stuff. So as we finish up, because you've been very kind with your time, appreciate having you on. How do people get a hold of you? I think Wes popped up the Calendly. There we go. Is that the best thing to start with?
You can schedule a discovery call with us through there. And that's kind of the starting point of the conversations. And from there, we kind of go through your journey with you. So,
love it. So you said 48 states. So I'm going to take a wild guess that doesn't include Hawaii or Alaska. Is that correct?
Yes. And we don't allow general contracting in the state of Texas. So.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yep. Outside of that, get a hold of you and start the journey, right?
Yeah. We geek out over this daily, so we're really excited. The way we are here is the way you're gonna hear us on the phone as well, and it's both of our passions, so you can hear our passion throughout the whole process.
Well, I can guarantee you, for anybody that's watching this, this is what you get with these ladies, because I've hung out with you at several trade shows now, and this is Stephanie and Meghan right here all day long.
It's us.
Love it. Well, you ladies, thank you. I appreciate you being on and chatting about the process, and hey, reach out if you're thinking and you want to. You won't find any two finer people in the industry, and that I can vouch for. So,
thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Honored.
Well, no, the honor's all ours, and Wes even thinks so too. He just sent me a text and said he thinks you're great. He didn't, but that sounded good anyway. He might have. Now he just did. See, there it is. Wes, the girls are great.
He's really telling me to invite us second time.
Yeah, there you go. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Yeah. Bye-bye. All right. There you go. Everything you need to know about financing a Barndo right there in a nutshell. Reach out to Meghan and Stephanie, because as I've mentioned, I've hung out with them at a lot of shows, trade shows, and really first-class people, know what they're doing, and some great advice there. So it's a movement that's not going away. So let's just do it right if you're going to do it. That's it for today. Just remember this: love what you do and do what you love. Live it, love it, own it. That's what I'm doing right now. And while you're at it, go make today your best day ever. Till tomorrow. Cheers, my friends.